Rest in peace to Alex Trebek. Rest in peace to Alex Trebek. Rest in peace to Alex Trebek. This is the Dunce podcast. I'm Big Rah. To my right hand man, Big Rah. We are Facebook Live. Yeah, as you can see, we start off the show in a good mood. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, good brother, but many a nights at 7 o'clock, I watch Jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? Just to get my IQ up. It really didn't help me too much, but at least I tried. You know what I'm saying? Tell the people what we know. Say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? It's good to be here. Wait, we live? You said we live?
Yeah, we live. We real live.
Oh shoot, I got to put on my best behavior. Wait, then I thought Jeopardy came on after Wheel of Fortune.
No, it was Jeopardy and then it was Wheel of Fortune. It was Jeopardy then Wheel of Fortune. You know what I'm saying?
So who you think they're gonna get to host Jeopardy now?
You know who I was thinking, and it would have to be somebody with personality. I was
Dave
thinking
Chappelle.
No. No, not Chappelle. I was thinking, you remember the guy, he's on Fox NFL, Rob Wiggles, I think his name is. He's a comedian. No. Or you know who I would like to see? What's my man? He played in Vince Vaughn. Is it Vince Vaughn? Not Vince Vaughn. Yeah. He played with Owen Wilson in a bunch of those movies. You know, back in he played in I can't think of movie with Jennifer Aniston and all that. Yeah, somebody that got some character, somebody that's funny, somebody that can play to the crowd.
So we're not trying to replace Alex Trebek with the next Alex Trebek. We're trying to replace it with like somebody totally different.
Somebody totally different. Yep, somebody totally different. Yes, sir. Good point. So yeah, so what's going on, brother?
A lot and nothing.
A lot and nothing. Okay, all right then. Well,
you know the deals. Always work.
Yes.
There's always life.
Yes.
There's always COVID.
Yes, COVID.
Not that I have COVID, but I'm just saying it's going on. Let me be clear.
Yes. Yeah. COVID is definitely still here. The cases are going up. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, across the United States, and the mitigation now. I saw Governor Murphy definitely has even put more restrictions under the state of New Jersey as far as less capacity in restaurants, indoor dining, gyms, things of that nature. So it's almost like we're back to March again. And unfortunately, I did see something that they were saying possibly about closing down restaurants and going through that whole thing again. I know in New York City they kind of starting to limit things. I haven't seen too much in pay, but you know what I'm saying? COVID is still here, man. COVID is still here. Unfortunately,
it's definitely
and people are still suffering in that suffering.
Yeah, it's definitely trending in that direction. I know Maryland, they're reverting back to that shutdown mode. DC is doing the same thing. The schools who have been hybrid are now starting to go back full-time virtual. Philly was supposed to open up, I think, the week after next. Now they're staying virtual until January. So I mean, this is prepping for what's about to go down. But we've been calling it since the summertime. It's inevitable. They open
since
things
we started.
up.
Since we started our second episode. Yeah.
So
exactly. Since our
it is what it is.
Since our second episode, podcast. All right, I'm Big Reef. That's my man Rah. To my right hand man. You know what I'm saying? Tell me where they can find us, good brother.
They can find us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and click the link in our bio for more information. Somebody messing up.
Don't try this at home. Subscribe now.
Oh, I got it right first try. All right, so listen, I know we use. I was a little slow with that. No, I thought I was good. I thought I was good this time around. So we definitely, like I said, we had our post-election wrap up last week. We are definitely shout out to our president-elect, of course, Joe Biden. Shout out to him. Live hand clap. Shout out to our first vice president-elect, the first Black woman to be vice president, first woman vice president, Miss Kamala Harris. You know what I'm saying? I know we're not gonna get into too much of that tonight, which we don't need to, but I guess it's a moment in history. I ain't gonna front, I'm a crybaby. So when I was watching Kamala speak, I kind of dropped a tear or two. You know what I'm saying? I be on my Ralph Tresvant, I get sensitive. You know what I'm saying? On my Carl Thomas, I get emotional. But it was a moment in time, man. It is a moment in time. And I even text my daughters like, yo, you watching it? She was like, yeah, I'm watching it, that type of thing. Cause I think it just resonated with me from that point. And I tell people I voted for Kamala, not necessarily Biden, but we're not gonna get into all of that. So, you know what I'm saying? But how you feel?
It ain't official until it's official, because the idiot is still trying to throw his tantrum. And so even though like Saturday, like I said, Saturday was like the best day of this year. We not home free until we home free, because a lot can happen between now and was it December 8th. So I'm hoping it doesn't. I'm hoping everything, goes smoothly, whatever. But I know there's some recounts going on in particular states. I've heard about, I don't know if you heard about it, there's some clauses, I guess, that got discovered in the Constitution, whereas, 45 is trying to use every door, every avenue that he can to keep his position to where he's at. So, I mean, while I'm happy with the results, I'm not totally elated until it's official. So.
Right. Yeah. He definitely not conceding. Even people within his own party and cabinet are telling him to concede. One of the things I just wanted to touch on real quick, not necessarily as far as the election itself, of course, but the post-election response. I saw a few things. We saw the memes. I think I sent some out. I think we posted some to our different platforms as far as social media and things of that nature. But the Van Jones response. What's your thought on that? What was your thought on that? I know you posted it. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, for me, it just gave me something to think about. So he has a lot of critics. A lot of people don't like him. I don't know enough about the man to say I can't listen to him, but I take everything with a grain of salt anyway. I don't put too much stock in what people say. I like to do my own research to find out, for myself. I think he brought up something that was very interesting that maybe a lot of people did not know. But it also opened up the door for me to learn a little bit more about him, because I didn't know, his background. I just thought he was like a news commentator or whatever. So part of me is like, there may be some legitimacy to, the information that he gave, but there's this other side that people like, well, he's like a low-key Trump supporter, not Trump supporter, but you know what I'm trying to say. But I just can't put a whole lot of stock in it. It's just something to think about, and I just think we need to kind of pump our brakes a little bit and let everything play out before we go overboard.
Let me say this. And while I understand there's a lot of emotion, I think, man, and me, and I'm not the toughest guy in the room. Like I said, I drop a tear. Anybody that know me know I drop a tear at the drop of a hat. But I don't understand what his emotion was about. I know in 2016 he was talking about his daughters and how they felt and they were scared. So I can understand that aspect from a parent. But this time around, like, I really didn't have elation for, like I say, necessarily for Biden and for Trump necessarily being, like you said, not necessarily being defeated just as far as Biden winning the election. I wasn't jumping for joy. I was happy, like I said, more for Kamala. But, I didn't have tears like that, and honestly, and I'm gonna say it, it made him look weak. It made me as a black man feel like we always have to play the subservient road, the step and fetcher role, I should say. And I'm not saying that's the case for him. Like I said, I don't know the man, but just in watching it, I was just like, yo, why is he crying so much? And let me just make this point. And maybe either yourself or the audience, somebody in the audience can, comment on it, as we go along. But I just felt like, dude, like, why, like, what are you crying for? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I don't know. You let me know what you think. Go ahead.
Well, unless I totally misinterpreted his position, I took it as though he was pretty much saying that this is a win for everything that we've been fighting for all this year in terms of social justice and things like that. I think he kind of looks at it like this takes a monkey off our back, so to speak, for all the people who've died throughout this year through social injustice and things like that.
Right.
Because the flip side of if the election went or does go the opposite direction, it's like we did all this just for this man to stay where he's at and still, you know, push this agenda forward, where it's kind of like giving people the leeway to say, you know, we run this, y'all don't matter. And you know, we can have things the way we want it. So that's the way I interpreted it. I mean, I could be wrong. I only watched the video one time, but you know, I didn't get emotional watching it, but I understood you know, his position. So
okay, so and maybe, like I said, I looked at it from a different point of view. I definitely feel like I said, you know, the tears was a little bit too much for me. And you talk about from somebody that, like I said, for people that know me, they know I drop a tear, you know, at any point in given time. Shit, I hey, Ryan, you wasn't there, and I still want my gift. But the day before my wedding, we had our rehearsal dinner. I'm up there boo-hooing, you know what I'm saying? And people looking at me like, why are you crying? I'm like, I'm just so happy everybody's here, you know what I'm saying? And then the day of my wedding, I cried, and when Deana was walking down the aisle. So I'm a big baby, you know what I'm saying? I'm a big baby. People that know me should, you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm a big baby. But I say all that to say, for that particular moment, I didn't understand why he was so emotional, but I do understand that you know, it was a emotional time in the country on both sides of the particular aisle, as far as for the candidates and things of that nature. So, well, listen, man, let's get right to it. All right, this is the Dunce podcast. So now listen, COVID-19 messed up a lot of things. I ain't been to the movies in forever. We ain't been, you know, to the bowling alley, you know, things of that nature. We haven't been to, you know, different places.
I went to the bowling alley last weekend.
Oh yeah. Oh,
man. I wear a mask the whole time. You can't have nothing to drink.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah.
See, I don't mind. Of course, I wear my mask when I'm going to, like, I went to Lowe's, grocery store, so on and so forth. But places like that, I want to be. I guess, you know, we can't be free because we take chances like that or whatever. But you know, we are. You know, we miss homecoming. You know, we miss homecoming season. You know, and you know, I'll say this. I've only really been to a few homecomings as far as Willie P., the school I went to, the William Patterson University, hence the shirt. All right, this shirt, I ain't been able to wear this.
That shirt like you got shot.
Listen, let me tell you about this shirt. This was the shirt of my original shirt. Shout out to Willie P., you know what I'm saying, stand up. We're going to get into all that, but this was the original shirt, one of the shirts that I had. I've had it for damn near 20-something years, or more than 20-something years, I should say. This is when it was William Patterson College. We party constantly. You know what I'm saying? You can see the holes. I had to throw it on. This is the only shirt that I had. But I say all that to say, we didn't have a homecoming this year. So, you know, we didn't get the chance to congregate. We didn't get a chance to frolic. We didn't get a chance to see the people that we used to see and things of that nature. I know I could imagine, you know what I'm saying? I don't know when was the last homecoming you've been to. Last homecoming I was at Willie P. was it may have been maybe 10 years ago, maybe 9, give or take. You know what I'm saying? This is 2020. So, you know, we wanted to do the episode. We wanted to have some people on talk about it. I went to a PWI that I'm proud of. You went to an HBCU that you proud of. You know what I'm saying? So we are here for it. For all
when you ever heard me say I was proud of it?
Well, you know what? I would assume you proud of it, but just real quick. I want to give a shout out to my sister. Big up to my sister. She went to an HBCU, North Carolina A&T. Shout out to Delvin, my man Delvin. Troop kicked the ball. He's Willie P. alumni. Shout out to Portia, Cheney University. Let's see who else we got on here. That's all I can see for right now. Kyle B. Creighton. He said, "What up, Doc? Who's Kyle B. Creighton? He went to school with you?"
No, Kyle B. I went to school with his brother.
He went to school with his brother. All right. Shout out to Kyle B. You know what I'm saying? But we are here, you know what I'm saying, for the Dunce podcast. We are definitely here for all of the shenanigans. And let me say this.
That's funny you call him Kyle B, because that's what I call him all the time, Kyle B.
Oh, word? See? Yeah. Great minds think alike. I just got to play this song. Because I just want to say something real quick. Back in 1987, I saw this movie. I fell in love with this movie. This movie really prompted me to want to go to college. Okay? Don't let my mother hear this. But I didn't want to, I went to college, of course, to get an education, but I wanted to go to college and have some fun. And when I saw this movie and I saw this video, This was like, yo, I was like, yo, this is why I'm going to college. Oh, yeah. I was 11 years old when this song came out, but I knew I wanted to go to college for a reason. Yeah. We're not gonna be disrespectful to the ladies, but y'all know what it is. Yeah. Come on. Oh.
You gotta turn it up a little bit.
Turn it up a little bit more. Oh.
There you go.
Yeah. 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 Oh. Walked in this place. Oh, I ain't gonna play the whole song. Yeah. Listen, I know many of them, we can tell some stories. We're gonna keep it PG tonight. Big girls, come on. Oh, yeah. Oh, shout out to all
Now, how many other go-go songs do you know other than that?
You said what?
I said, how many other go-go songs do you know other than that?
Listen, y'all go listen. I'm gonna say this, and this is real talk. I didn't know about go-go music. Shout out to my daughter's mother. She went to Hampton University. You know what I'm saying? I know the DMV area, Hampton, Virginia, Maryland, DC, Hampton music, go-go music is real big. I didn't know about go-go music until I was dealing with her. And I know at all the HBCUs, you have a variety of people that go to those schools. So you have the people from DC, the people from Maryland, the people from Virginia, you know what I'm saying? And they be forcing that go-go music. But you know what I'm saying? We didn't listen to go-go music. We listened to, you know what I'm saying, what we listened to. So listen, we got our guest on, you know what I'm saying, coming through on the Dr. Dunce podcast. You know what I'm saying? Welcome our esteemed guests to tonight's show. You know what I'm saying? Doc, you want to introduce them?
Well, we're going to let them introduce themselves.
Oh, yeah, we're going to let them introduce themselves. All right, so here we go. Let's start. I don't know how we're going to start this off. Do we go from cutest to ugliest?
If we're going to go with the ugliest, we can start with me.
No, we're going to start with my man. I was going to say we start with my man, Jingo. Let's go to my big cousin. Big cousin, tell him who you are.
I am Courtney Chambers. I am his favorite cousin, not just big, of Mr. Wayne A. Sharif Jr. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Hello. Welcome.
Thank you.
Live hand clap for the cuz. Live hand clap for the cuz.
Thank you, my cousin.
Oh, wait, before I do this, I gotta give a shout out to all the SG Rows. Happy Founders Day to all the SG Rows. All right, we pay attention on the Dr. Dunce podcast. We pay attention. Give it up to Miss Chris. Go ahead.
He pays attention. I don't pay attention.
Wait, you knew
Sorry,
that?
Crystal. I did not know that.
About your wife is a sword. You did not know that today.
No, she'll tell you I ain't know
put
that.
Him on blast.
Ooh.
Introduce yourself, sis.
My name is Crystal Allen, proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, graduate of both Penn State University and Eastern University.
All right, let's give a live hand clap.
Welcome, Crystal.
All right, to the brother that look like Charlie Batch. What's going on? I don't know his name. All right, Thane Trotman. I apologize, good brother. We just having a little fun tonight. Go ahead, good brother. Introduce yourself.
It's all good. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. My name's Thane Trotman. I'm a member of the mighty class of 1995 at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, and Brother Rasan was kind enough to invite me onto his podcast, so I'm honored to be here and be able to chat with all you good people.
We appreciate you coming on short notice. We know you're a busy man.
It's all good, brother.
Yes. And shout out to Morehouse College. My uncle, older cousin went there for a period of time. My other cousin went there and graduated, and my nephew went there and graduated. Shout out to Morehouse College, a good Morehouse man. Morehouse man. All right, we got somebody else coming up, but I gotta give it up to my man, my right-hand man, 26 years. Listen, let me say this. Let me tell you this, Doc, real quick. The enthusiasm that I have now, when I called this dude, he called me and told me we was gonna be roommates. You know what I'm saying? I was all loud and happy, but he's always been like a big brother to me. Go ahead, introduce yourself, good brother. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
How y'all doing? My name is Jamie Golden. I've known this man for a long time. He and I were roommates at William Patterson University. Graduated together in 2000. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. It's a pleasure.
All right.
Did you get any sleep when y'all was roommates?
Listen, I had to sleep in the closet because he used to snore too loud. So I was standing up sleeping in the closet.
Shout out to the William Patterson University. And last but definitely not least, go ahead and introduce yourself, sis. You came on a little late. You know what I'm saying? Give it. Tell us who you are.
Hi, my name is Karla Williams. I attended Lincoln University with Rasan. And I'm just here because I was invited by Rasan. Thank you for
Hey, listen, hey, for all the people that went to a PWI, you see all the people that went to HBCUs, they on CP time. Give them a live hand clap. Give them a live hand clap. Give them a live hand clap. Give them a live hand clap.
Stop stereotyping.
Yeah, it's all love. It's all love. All right, so listen, Doc, let's get right to it. You know, we got this, like I said, homecoming season was canceled. We didn't get to have any tailgates. We didn't get to have any good drinks or libations and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying, in the middle of October. But let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about our experiences.
So I want to start right here. Since we all went to school, I want to know how you guys ended up, not at your particular schools, but how did you end up in college? Like for me, I was raised by a Black woman. My mother was from the South, and from the time I could understand what she was saying to the time I set foot on Lincoln's campus, all I heard was, you going to college, you going to college, you going to college. I had no desire to go to college, but that was her goal, that was her dream. And how I ended up at Lincoln is another story. I'll get into that later. But I want to know how you guys, what was your path to college?
Anyone could go first.
Anybody could go. Anybody go. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Well, I am a second generation college student, and I'm sure you know that my father is a Lincoln graduate. So there was kind of no choice in our household that everyone that was there was going to be going to college. It was just a matter of your choice. We were not, other than my older brother, who did go to Morehouse for some time, we were not required to be at a HBCU, but we were going to college. So the choice was ours.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for, in my household, my parents emphasized some kind of post-secondary education. I too am a first generation college student, and there's 6 of us. So we didn't necessarily need to go to college. The oldest 2 went to the military. 3 of us went to college, and 1 went to art school. So we did have to do something after high school.
I like that.
So my situation was similar to Courtney's. My mother went to college. My father did not go to college. My older sister went to Spelman. And in my household, we were, my parents put us in schools that everybody was going to college. So it was kind of just a path that was the norm for us. So it wasn't about us not going to college. It was about what college, what college will we can decide on our own what college we want to attend. So I went to Lincoln. I ended up going there. I was going to Xavier first, and then I got a full ride to Lincoln. So I decided to go with the full ride because I was trying to spare my parents paying tuition. They paid for my sister to go to Spelman. I was just trying to give them a break. So I went to Lincoln, and that's how I ended up there.
Well,
that was very nice of you. Very selfless.
Doc, we can't just let that go. She said she was gonna go to Xavier. Do y'all know about Xavier? Xavier's one of the top premier HBCUs in the country. So we can't just let that go. You know what I'm saying? We got a Morehouse man on here. We got somebody that's gonna go to Xavier. Damn, PWIs, we losing right now, y'all. What y'all doing? Go ahead, Thane.
So my story kind of starts with Lincoln University. I grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, because my father taught at Lincoln University. In fact, my father was teaching at Lincoln University when he met my mother. And he met my mother because the families knew each other. And my mother's brother just happened to have been a student at Lincoln University in the late 60s. And my uncle, my mother's brother, introduced my father to my mother. And a couple of years later, I came along. So I would say half of the college graduates in my family went to Lincoln or Cheney. So going to college was not an option. It was something you were going to do just because I was the child of a college professor anyway. Having grown up in Westchester University, Westchester, Pennsylvania, I went to a predominantly white high school. And quite frankly, by the time of my senior year, having watched several years of The Cosby Show and A Different World in the late 80s and early 90s, I was determined to go to a Black college. And amongst the schools I wanted to attend were Hampton, Morehouse, Howard, and I applied to a couple of other predominantly white institutions, but at the end of the day, Morehouse was my first choice. I wanted to go and be around my people and be around brothers that were like-minded. And that was my first choice. I got in early admission and I was like, yo, I'm there.
Okay. And we save the least for last. You know what I'm saying? Jay, go. Tell us your story. Now listen, y'all, I'm just gonna say this is my best friend. He was the best man at my wedding. So I ain't gonna cut him no slack. He's gonna be up here and be modest. You know what I'm saying? But I know the Jekyll and Hyde. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, good brother. Tell us your story.
Anyway, as I was rudely interrupted, but anyway, for the most part, I was going to. I did a lot for sports as far as football is concerned, so that was my main thing. But after some time, I went to a college in Kansas and came back and was working for a little bit. I just wanted to go to school. I didn't know anything about HBCU too much. I didn't look into too much. In high school, I went to primarily white high school as well. And I wasn't sure about HBCU, didn't know too much about it, which I would have knew more because I think I definitely would apply to HBCU. But I ended up going to William Patterson University. I just had to go to school. I'm the youngest. I have two older sisters, and they went to college as well. So therefore, my thought process was, I got to go to school because my sisters went to school and they graduated as well. So, yeah.
It seems as if everyone on the panel, and even probably people that's listening, I'm gonna read some of the comments. We're gonna have super producer Evie read some of the comments. Everyone has some type of influence, whether it be family, well, primarily family, mothers and fathers. I just gotta do this real quick, and I would be remiss if I didn't do this. Shout out to my uncle, Dr. Walter D. Chambers. All right,
my daddy.
Man. Yep, her father, a Lincoln man. Definitely an influence in my life. He probably doesn't even realize how much of an influence he does have on me. Hey, Jamie, you remember Uncle Walter Aunt Liz? You know how that get down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So listen, just real quick though. Like I said, all of you guys have had your family had an impact on you as far as planting that seed of higher education in your brain. Do you think that if it was current time, I'm just asking this question, I'm gonna turn it back to Doc, but do you think that if you grew up during this era of young people, do you think that the era that you grew up in made a difference in how you thought about it, or was just something that was gonna be ingrained to you already?
You mean how we thought about going to college, or if we would go?
Yeah, how you thought about going to college, yeah.
Well, I am that generation. I am a peer of Barack and Michelle. So we are that generation that were expected to do much better than our parents had done, our grandparents had done. We were that bridge of coming out of the 60s, going into the late 70s of going into college. So there were really no choices.
She dating herself, y'all.
Yes, I am. I already knew. But I'm just over 25 on paper. Okay. But that was that generation that you were going to college, you were going to do something because it was almost like you were being depended upon to bridge that gap between the generations that did not have this opportunity and those going forward that would have more opportunities.
Okay, all right. Karla, I want to piggyback off of that. I'm gonna throw it back to Doc. You said you had applied to Xavier. You were going to go into medicine?
I wanted to be a psychiatrist.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what made you? I mean, I know you said the money and things of that nature, but Xavier, like I said, you got to be pretty smart to get into that school.
I think I'm just average.
Nah, you ain't average, sis.
So
You ain't
modest.
average. Yeah. I was about to say, Doc. She's definitely not average, but that's a beautiful thing, and that's the one thing why we wanted to do this. We wanted to discuss before we get to the dirty parts of college life. We want to, of course, for any kids that's listening, you go to school to get an education. You go to class and you go back to your room and you study and you eat crackers and sardines. And that's all you do. You don't do anything else. That's it. Go ahead, Doc.
I'm gonna need y'all to forgive me for a second. If y'all ever watch the podcast, y'all knows that I always wear baseball caps, and I intended to be a little more formal for this episode. I meant to do this before y'all came on, so just forgive me for a second. I meant to wear this hat today, so just for this episode, I went digging in the back of the closet so I could have one of different hats today. But anyway, everybody talked about how they ended up in college or whatever. So for me,
you're trying to flex on us.
No, I'm not flexing on y'all. I just wanted to have a little fun. But no, for me, I think the difference between me and everybody else, including Reef, is when you guys were ready to go to college, it sounded like everybody was focused. And I'll say it to this day. I'm 44 years old, and I'm like I refuse to grow up. That doesn't mean I don't handle my business. I was very immature graduating from high school. I had no intentions of going into college. I wanted to go into the military because one, the money wasn't there for me to go to college. I knew I wasn't getting any scholarships, but I just thought college wasn't for me. Even to this day, I don't believe formal education is for me. I just kind of got stuck in a rut of just going back to school and obtaining pieces of paper. But I didn't even know what an HBCU was when it was time for me to go to college. Like all I knew was like Seton Hall, I knew Rutgers, I knew UCLA, I knew all the basketball schools and things like that. But I didn't know like the difference between the PWI and the HBCU. The way I learned about Lincoln was because my sister went to Lincoln the year before me. So when mom said, you got to go to college, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I applied to 2 schools. I applied to Lincoln, I applied to Kane University. And it was like, whoever assessed me first, I guess that's where I'm going to go. So Lincoln was the one that sent me the paper in the mail that said, you know, we want to accept you. But then I found out Lincoln accepts anybody. But we'll get to that later.
You hear that, Karla? You hear that? You hear how you throwing shade, Karla? You hear that? That's your boy. That's your boy. Just real quick, and I'll tell my story real quick. And as Jamie knows and Rasan knows, Rasan and I went to the same high school. And as he said, and Jamie said it as well, we didn't know too much about HBCUs. We know a little bit. Like I remember taking a college tour, but it wasn't as prominent as it is now. Even back then with the whole Tom Joyner and his initiative and other celebrities were trying to pump it. It was like for us going to all predominantly white school, it was like HBCUs or black colleges, like it wasn't a big thing. My guidance counselor, Mrs. Lynch, had kind of put the bug in my ear, but I wanted to play sports and of course Lincoln didn't have a football team. Fast forward, you know, I met great people at the school that I went to. And we'll talk about that. But I definitely, honestly, I'll be honest, I have a 17-year-old now. I am pumping the whole notion of historical black college and university because I just, you know, I want her to have a certain experience. I'm not saying she can't have experience at a PWI, but not front on any PWI. But I definitely, you know, I think that looking back on, I guess part of me is somewhat living through her. And I'll be honest, you know, I think that there's a lot of good that comes out of the HBCUs. Shout out to all the people that are commenting in the comments. Shout out to Hampton University, shout out to Cheney University. You know, I'm just looking at the comments. Those people, somebody said baby boomers in the house. All right, so shout out to you, cousin. All right, but you know, going to a PWI, and that's the term that we're going to use this for this part of it, just because of the show. It was great. Like we didn't miss out anything. Like we went to the type of school, and Jamie could attest to this. We went to the type of school that, although it was a PWI, the black folks and the Latino folks ran the school. Like our school was a commuter school, but after 5 o'clock, you looked around, you was like, yo, this is just like Cheney, this is just like Hampton. There's like all of those types of schools. Yeah. So, you know,
how big is William Patterson?
Well, they expanded.
Well, I guess at that time.
Jay, what would you say? How big was Willie P?
As far as population wise,
yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, we had it was
It was just us, man. I mean, I can't even say it. It was
the
just
youth
us.
campus, I mean, but at the same time, as far as African American students, we had a good amount. I'm not sure how many, but we had a good amount.
Now, one
But
thing.
remember
Go
that
ahead.
you were at a state school, although
Yeah.
at PWI, you were at a state school, and that
Right.
also is attractive to students of color.
Yeah.
That makes
Okay.
that does make a
Yeah,
difference.
that does-
that
yes,
you were at
you're
a,
right.
that you were at a public university where the costs are lower.
Right. See,
Okay.
that's the smart side of my family. That's the smart side of my family right there. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
But
you lived in the house too for a minute.
Yeah. Shout out to our Liz. Shout out to our Liz. But in all seriousness, you know, Thane, Karla, and Chris, I'm gonna get to you because I know you went to a PWI, but Thane and Karla, and Doc, I just want to mention this real quick. Do you think that you would have had an experience, the same type of experience at a PWI that you had at HBCU? And I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself, Doc.
Totally different. Totally different. I think, I mean, I'm a big advocate for all HBCUs. I think HBCUs will take the most immature or the most mature student and raise them up to levels that they probably would not necessarily have attained from an identity standpoint at a predominantly white institution. I think what HBCUs in particular are good at is helping a young Black male or female develop a sense of their self-concept and at times their self-worth that will not be nurtured in the same way at a PWI, quite frankly. You are indoctrinated with Black culture at a HBCU in ways that just doesn't happen at a PWI.
Now, is that a fact or that's your opinion?
Wait, so what happened to me?
No, I say you are indoctrinated with Black culture from the start.
I said what happened to me at the HBCU.
Oh, okay.
They left me.
I think the general mission of HBCUs is different from that of a PWI oftentimes in terms of indoctrinating you into Black culture and learning from Black professors that you may not necessarily learn from at a PWI.
Okay.
Your academic and intellectual role models at a HBCU are probably going to be Black in most cases. I mean, not in all cases, certainly.
Yeah.
But that's not likely to be the case at a PWI. And that makes a difference at that 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old time of your life. Who are you? Who are your role models? Who are your intellectual, your academic, your career role models? Are they, the Asian doctor that's teaching you math at a PWI? Or, and I'm not being stereotypical, but, are you learning about Africa from an African teacher the way you would at a HBCU?
Thane, I want to let Karla go because I saw Karla nodding her head, and I want to come back to that because Jamie knows where I'm going. All I'm gonna say is Auburn Lewis. But Karla, I want you to piggyback off of that, and I want to give Crystal and my and cousin Courtney the floor as well. Opportunity.
I definitely, I'm having internet issues, so you might see me fade in and out with the video.
We know you got that cricket. We know you got that cricket, that Metro PCS wireless.
I do. I completely agree with Thane. I feel like going to a HBCU and just giving me just better grounding and being African American. I feel like their goal is to empower, and I also feel like they want me there as opposed to me going to a PWI and not really caring. And I feel like they just want to see me succeed, and I think that's important.
Okay.
And I wanted to piggyback on what you and Rasan said earlier. You said something like you hadn't even heard of HBCUs, and I'm kind of shocked because I thought that I feel like HBCUs really got their big a lot of publicity after Different World and School Days, and I'm surprised that didn't encourage you to want to go to one.
And watch A Different World.
What?
I watched The Cosby Show.
You would have won.
I watched The Cosby Show though.
He was the only one.
Oh my goodness!
I watched the first season of A Different World, and I had a crush on Kimberly Reese.
He wasn't on the first season, so no, you didn't.
Oh, maybe I watched the second season. I don't know. I watched the whole thing.
So listen, real quick, and I want to say this, Karla, and I want to say this, and I'm gonna let Crystal go. Well, I think you know what? Let me be fair to my guests. Go ahead, Crystal. You want to respond to that?
Well, I'll give a little history about why I chose Penn State and then go from there. So,
real quick, Crystal, somebody said Jabri Bond said shout out to Penn State.
Shout out to Penn State.
Jabri, the good brothers. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
We are Jabri. So, when I was looking at colleges, I have a brother who's 12 years older than me, and his dream was to go to Morehouse. And he spent his freshman year there, and unfortunately it didn't work out for him. There were some mishaps. Education department, he wasn't getting placed in the right classes, things like that. So he ended up coming home. But that didn't deter me from HBCUs. I'm from a very, very, very small, I'll call it a city because it is, but a very small city in Western PA. And our counselors didn't expose it to us. And I feel like my brother, who is a whole 12 years older, he got exposed to it because he had a teacher who really focused on African-American history, culture, and encouraged her students. By the time, she was actually a guidance counselor by the time I was in high school, but we didn't have like classes like that. And my school would bring in schools to meet with us, and we get days to go visit schools for HBCUs. Nobody around us, maybe in Pittsburgh is the closest city I'm to. They may have been building stores, but that didn't hit to the area I live in, so I wasn't exposed to it. What I was exposed to was my sophomore year of high school. For a student project, I was running a tutoring program where I actually worked for a man who worked at Penn State. And at the time, Penn State wasn't on my radar because I only thought Penn State Beaver. But he was like, no, you got to think of the bigger picture. There's multiple campuses. So that summer I went up to visit, and that's when I fell in love with it. And I was like, I know this is a choice for me. Now, to go off what Thane was saying, yes, all of our professors don't look like us, but we have some key professors who did, and some staff members and higher positions who look like us, who had our backs. We also had the Multicultural Resource Center. We had the Student Minority Advisory Recruitment Team, which was smart. So we had those supports in place for us because they knew it was important for us to have that. So I enjoyed my time there.
Okay. Now, cousin, I want you to piggyback off of that. But you went to school during a different era.
That's right.
Growing up in East Orange, and of course the family history and all like that. But what was your, you went to an Ivy League school, so
not really. No, I wasn't the one. Our other cousin, Robin.
Right.
So part of cousin Robin went to University of Pennsylvania.
Right. Rest in peace, my cousin Robin went to University of Pennsylvania. But Lafayette is not. Lafayette is.
I went to Lafayette College in Easton, Pennsylvania, home of Dixie Cups, Crayola crayons, and Larry Holmes in Lafayette College. That's where I went. Most of the students at that time when I went to Lafayette were from New Jersey. Okay, so it was almost like we used to say, what exit are you from? Meaning what exit on the turnpike or the parkway were you from? Because the majority, even Pennsylvania students were not the majority at Lafayette. You were mostly from New Jersey, but they were from the suburban New Jersey areas where people that looked like us were usually the people that cleaned their houses, cut their grass, and did errands and things like that for them. So that was a little different from me. What I realized is that when you're home and your home turf, I'm from East Orange, New Jersey, born in Newark. Those are our roots, still are. You have a little bit of both. I went to an all-girl Catholic high school where it was kind of about 60-40, white, black, little Latino as well mixed in, but pretty much all my teachers, 99% of my teachers were white, and guidance counselors as well. And I can say I didn't get a lot of guidance from my guidance counselor, HBCU, PWI, or anything. Oh, wow. So it was basically connections from my dad and people he knew, like what colleges are you looking at? What are you thinking about? And it was through them. And all I did was ask my guidance counselor to mail my transcript wherever I needed to go. Right. That was about it. But what I can say in terms of my experience at Lafayette, I didn't have any of those things. The multicultural center, the support system, we didn't have any, but what I did have was about maybe 65, 70 other Black students. And many of my friends were from New York, from the boroughs of New York, as well as the Beltway, from the Delmarva Beltway, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, DC.
DMV, stand
right?
up.
We bonded together. To this day, we are bonded together in terms of we supported each other.
Okay.
Without that network, without those positions of people in place, we were supportive of each other. A lot of the male Black students were there because of sports, because of football, because of basketball. They were recruited to be in school, track, etc. The females, Lafayette is known for being an engineering school. So a lot of the females were there for engineering. That wasn't me. I like math, but not that much. Okay. But I just knew that when I went to visit Lafayette, it was a cold day and it's up like the hill, when you go up there, and it was a very cold day and it was too cold to even walk and see most of the campus, but it just looked like what my idea of a college was going to look like. And I knew that I didn't want to be that far away. Uh-huh.
All right, I didn't want to be rude. You my cousin.
But you always are.
I gotta let my friend. I gotta let my boy go. I gotta let my boy go. Cause see, here's the thing with Jamie, and I'm gonna say this because he's gonna be humble. He's gonna be modest. Jamie was an all-state football player. Okay, he was. I think he might even been an honorable mention All-American. I ain't gonna say too much, but he was good. He he could have went to any school in the country. He wound up going to JUCO. So I'm gonna tell a story for him. So. Roll your eyes if you want to. But one thing, and Jamie, you could tell, you kind of touched on it before, but you was an all-stater, so there were no HBCUs recruiting you?
Not really. Like I said, I went to predominantly white high school. I didn't know about HBCUs like that. If I would have known, I would have definitely considered going to one. I have some of my best friends who went to Howard University, and I didn't know anything about it. If I would have considered that by far. And when I've gone to like HBCUs, different campuses now, I have a 17-year-old son, and we take him to different schools.
Shout out to the nephew.
Around the country. And we don't wait for it to get an official visit. We just take our son and we walk around the campus and let him see things the way they are and let him make his own decision. In saying that, I definitely wish I would have went to HBCU because I've seen the camaraderie of it. I see how everyone's connected. I see how, people of all shapes, faiths, for the most part, all over the world, are doing so big and so well. And when I've gone to different functions that I didn't know about, I'm in awe of the HBCUs, how they stay together, how they become professionals. I'm a teacher right now, fourth grade teacher, but at the same time, I wish I had known about it, to learn more about it, to see about my culture, to see what it's all about, to be around people my same complexity and pigmentation, to connect with different people. I think it would have been astronomical in my life. And I wish I would have, went that route. But things are the way they are. Things happen, but I would have loved to have gone to one or visited one to see how it was all about.
Well, if you would have went to HBCU,
I would have met you. I would have met you.
That's right.
Listen, I gotta say this, and then we gotta go pay the bills. But Thane made a good point, and Thane, I wanted to say that you were indoctrinated in Black culture or African American culture when you went to Lincoln, when you went to Morehouse. Karla said the same thing. But you know what? I can honestly say when I went to William Patterson, and Jamie could attest to this, we had some great professors. Shout out to anybody that's watching this from Willie P, Auburn Lewis, Dr. Meters, rest in peace to Shake Bell, William Smalls, Agar Jones. We had some great professors. And I understand, we had a mixture of professors, but they look like our campus was, like I say, after 5 o'clock, it was nothing but Blacks and Latinos. You know what I'm saying? You had a few whites sprinkled in, but we had that whole feeling. We had that loving feeling. You might have had, and I know, everybody don't necessarily get along. And I know me and Turk, we always joke about it. How, this person was that corny, this person was this person was that, and Jamie and I as well. But we did have that love from our professors because it was like as Tupac would say, a me against the world or us against the world type of thing. So we definitely had that. I got to do this real quick before I pay the bills. My man told me, he said, I said, listen, bro, I got a playlist I want to play tonight. He said, man, listen, you know, I lived in DC for a long period of time. And I don't know nothing about DC music. I don't know nothing about no DC music, but I remember I heard this song, and Karla, you might like this song. You know what I'm saying? I gotta play this song. Hey! You went to school. Straight up. I didn't hear this song until I met my daughter's brother. I don't want to eat sardines and pork beans, but that's a DMV thing. Oh, 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 oh. I can't dance to this. I don't know how y'all dance this in the club or at a party.
Just gotta feel the beat.
You gotta feel the beat? Okay. Shout out to all the people that like go-go music. Come on, Crystal, set out a stroke. Crystal, set out a stroke. Shout out to all that she rolls. All right. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. That's me just acting a fool. This is the Dr. Dunce podcast. Shout out to my right-hand man, Big Rah. Rah, tell them where they can hear us, big brother.
You can hear us on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor Radio. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Click the link in our bio for more information. Oh, and let me not forget about YouTube as well.
Can I just say, I just want to say something as well. Going to PWI, I met some fantastic people. Even though I didn't go to HBCU, Sharif could tell you, we met some fantastic people. I mean, good, just like yourselves. I'm looking at a lot of them right now with different faces for the most part, from what I can say. Good people. I mean, we're still cool with them. Me and Reef tell you, we are connected with everybody we went to school with still. And they've become great professionals in terms of what they're doing, you know, in their lives and things of that nature. So even though it was William Pastor University, it was fantastic. We had a great time there, and good people, and I wouldn't change it. I mean, I wouldn't change it. I mean, like I said, I could have went to HBCU and known about it more. I could have looked at going into it and visiting the campus and see what it's about. But we did have some great times as far as William Passing and learned a lot. So
I piggyback off that because I think a lot of the people I went to school with, we still stay connected, we still touch. I'm actually part of what we call the African American Alumni Organization. It's an interest group for Penn State Black alums in the Philly area, and we have it in Atlanta, New York, DC. So it's a way for all of us alum in the area who are African American to get together, but then also support the current students. So I think it's going to be a part of that and have that lasting friendship, and then pass it on to the next generation.
And I could say the same about my experience with Lafayette. We just had, we started a month ago, people that graduated in my era. We did the same thing. We had a Zoom reunion and keeping up with each other. And we decided it's been far too long, and you never know in these days and times. So we try to do this now once a month, every other month. We connect on Zoom now and stay in touch. But I have met some of the best people and still connected to those people to this day, as well as many of us give back to our communities. Although we went to a predominantly white school, we give back to our communities in many ways. Many are lawyers, judges, doctors. One of my classmates a few years behind me was a consultant on the Oprah Winfrey movie she did about the woman who gave her, had her cells taken. I forgot the name of it. The HeLa cells, and Oprah portrayed her. He was a consultant on that, medical consultant on that movie. So I have had so many great experiences and connections to these people to this day that we bonded to survive what we needed to get through during that time.
And I think that's the thing, that all of us may have had different experiences as far as the schools we went to, but we all had some type of bond with the people that were there. Listen, my little sister kept texting me, I want to come on. I want to come on.
And she should have been.
I went to an HBCU.
Hi, Dee.
My sister that went to North Carolina A&T.
North Carolina A&T.
North Carolina A&T Aggies. All I'm going to say is that, she did more partying than so we're gonna put that out there.
Yay, D.
But go ahead, little sis. Now listen, I'm gonna throw it back to Doc, but Deana, talk about your experience as a HBCU alumni. You know how you got in, what made you go. I mean, I know the story, but go ahead.
You don't know the complete story, but
Oh,
no,
go
I
ahead.
just chime in. I thought the whole thing was dope, but no, my personal story as far as going to an HBCU, I was really just trying to get out where I was at. Like I wanted
Out of our mother's house. Out of our mother's house.
And it wasn't even about mommy's house. It was really just the town. Like people knew everybody. People got pregnant as soon as they got out of high school. I wasn't about that life. So going to an HBCU, it was just something that I always, like, ever since freshman year of high school, I was just like, I think I want to go to an HBCU. And as mentioned previously, it was the time joiners in the morning or the different worlds is what kind of influenced me. And then also I went to a predominantly white high school where there was very little of us. So going to a location or HBCU rather, where there's more people who look just like me, but there's still different backgrounds, different views, different opinions. It was just like, it was like a utopia for me, and I had the best experience.
That's that Aggie's education using big words. You know what I'm saying? You sound like Thane and Karla, you know what I mean?
You know our money's worth.
Go ahead, Doc, take control of the Cadillac again.
Deana, I know Reef is your brother, but I want to welcome you to the show. You probably don't remember me. The last time I saw you was like 12 years old. You was a little girl.
Oh, wow.
And y'all was still in Edison at the time. But I do want to say welcome. It's good to see you on the show. But I want to jump back to some other earlier points. But before I do that, and since you went to NC, I want to ask you and Thane this question. Did y'all have chicken night at y'all school?
What? Fried chicken Fridays. We had fried chicken Fridays. Like, oh, it's fried chicken Friday. What time you get out of class? Because I'm gonna meet you at the cafe at 1.
What about you, Thane?
I'm gonna put it to you like this. I'm gonna tell a quick story. So freshman week, 1991, freshman week, we had been there for a couple of days. Maybe like Tuesday, you arrive on a Sunday. Tuesday morning, I woke up and I just like stomach wasn't feeling right at all. So, I did what you do in the morning, ran down to the bathroom in the dormitory. Yo, every stall was filled up. Ran upstairs to the 3rd floor, ran downstairs to the 1st floor. Everybody's stomachs was messed up. So my point is this, after sophomore year and I moved off campus, I did so because the cafeteria food at Morehouse College was not all that great. So
you seeing all those men bad food. Oh my gosh. So I brought that up because, Karla, correct me if I'm wrong, 94 to 96 at Lincoln, we had chicken night every Thursday. It was fried chicken, all the fixings or whatever. I definitely know they had it my freshman year. It was every Thursday because we would leave the caf with like plates of chicken going back to the dorm room, and they switched the catering company so many times. So after years, chicken night was going. I don't know if Karla was there when we had chicken night at night.
I think it was gone by the time I got there.
Okay, all right, but yeah, that's one of my memories about Lincoln because I love to eat good. But Thane, I wanted to go back to something that you said earlier because you talked about the experience of having Black professors and things like that. And thinking about it in hindsight, that's one of the things that I will say I can definitely attest to and agree with. I remember there was Dr. Babatunde who taught the African American experience, one of the professors that I actually despised at my time at Lincoln because he pushed me so hard and I fought so hard to resist what he was trying to instill in me. Like I said earlier, the level of maturity was not there. If I had it to do all over again, I think my Lincoln experience will be different. But also years ago, I used to always say, I think I was better at that time period in life. I was better designed to be at a PWI because I just think the experience would have been different for me. Because, like I said, I applied to Lincoln, I applied to Kane, and I think had I gotten to Kane, my college experience would have been different because my mindset was, I got to look a certain way and do myself up a certain way for these white people. But when I was with my own people, it was kind of like, oh, they all look like me. I could chill, I could party and do whatever, which is why I did 5 years instead of 4 years. But, I I guess for me it was a maturity thing. Like that's why I said earlier, you guys seem like y'all were more bred to go to school at the time that y'all did. Maybe if I had waited a couple more years, my experience would have definitely been a little bit more different.
I think everybody's journey to college.
Well, I think, and I'll let you guys comment. Do you
Wait, hold on, Reef, hold on for a second. He was
making a point.
Yeah, I think everyone's journey to college was unique, and I'll just compare my journey with my younger brothers. I mean, my brother went to Howard. He was not as amped up to go to a Black college as I was, but he also, went down to visit Howard, and he was like, "Yo, that's where I want to be." He didn't have the motivation to go to a Black college. Just because he was tired of being around, so many white people from his high school, which had been my experience. So I hear what you're saying when you talk about where you were at 18 years old, and I think it goes back to my point about what Black colleges will do more often than not. They'll build you up based on where you are, and whether it takes you 4 years or 5 years or 6 years or however many years, the systems at Black colleges are designed to turn you into the leader that you eventually become. And I can't say that that's always the case at a PWI. Not to say it doesn't happen, but it's not always the case in the way that it is at the HBCU.
You're not the priority at a PWI, let's be real. You're not. If you're a person of color, you're not the priority. You make the picture look good. When they send out the recruitment material, I always say they have that Noah's Ark picture where there's like at least one or two of everything in the picture. And you make you make the picture look good, but you are not the priority.
You're right, Courtney, because of course at Penn State there's so many of us. So freshman year I'm having classes with 500 people, 300 people easily. And I'm a very shy person. I won't just come and ask for help or things like that. So I got lost very easily. But it wasn't until I started getting into my junior, senior classes that I was like, no, I have to make myself a priority and I have to put out there to get the help that I need. So yes, you're right about that.
Okay. Well, I want to read a few comments. I know I'm coming in and out. My internet, I teased Karla earlier. I apologize, Karla, if you got cricket. I definitely got track one. It's terrible over here.
Pay the bill.
Pay the bill. Somebody got to pay the bill. So real quick, I just want to read some of the comments. Super producer Evie is on standby, but I read the comments. Of course, Andre Evans gives a shout out to Jay Gold. He wants to come in. We'll get you in, Dre. Baby Bay said awesome topic. I think they said facts for everything as far as the HBCU. Baby Bay is alumni of Hampton University. Courtney, he did have a question for you. He said, what year did you attend Lafayette? And then for Thane, he also said, what year did you go to Westchester High School? But I think you kind of answered that. I think you said 91. Adolphus Johnson said he went to Morris Brown College. He said we had fried fish Friday.
Ooh.
The best college campus food down south. Mr. Leak, our third-party co-host sometimes that jumps in, he says, I think it's more about personal preparedness versus school of choice between HBCU and PWI. And we value all comments and all things as we go through this. I mean, this is one of those times, and I want to get to the nitty-gritty. I'm going to let Doc drive the Cadillac, but I do want to say this. So all the HBCUs, so y'all just sat around eating chicken on Fridays? That's how y'all do?
Thursdays. It was Thursdays.
Bring it home.
Okay, hey, Thane, listen, let me say this, Thane, listen, you my man, you know what I'm saying? You came on, you dropped that knowledge, but that's very stereotypical that they would serve serve chicken at all the Black colleges and fried fish at Morris Brown. So I'm just saying, they didn't do that.
This was Black companies cooking this food. This wasn't white people coming and serving it. These were Black companies cooking it.
I'm just saying, Jay Go could attest to this. Every Sunday, they had brunch. They had the best grits. They had the best. Did we have bitches? We didn't have bitches. We had dinner rolls. But we had Sunday was the best time to go to Wayne Hall. Wayne Hall was our cafeteria.
And he didn't listen.
I guess y'all had mimosas too, huh?
He didn't have a meal plan, so I had to go. He would give me Tupperware to go, to get the food to bring back to the
So you. That's very typical you.
Wait. Cause see, let me ask you all a question. And Doc, I'm gonna throw the keys back to you with the Cadillac. Let me just take over the Cadillac real quick. How many of y'all? And this is for the people in the audience. How many of y'all lived illegally on campus? Like you didn't have actual room and board, but you stuck. Oh, I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
Hey, Deana, I don't know what your mother did with him, but y'all definitely don't fall from the same tree.
We're gonna go through our checklist. How many of y'all? Okay, how many of y'all used to sneak food back to the cafeteria because the cafeteria closed too early?
Yes, we did that. Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
Okay.
That's part of living on campus.
My cousin's on here. I'm gonna keep it PG. But all I'm gonna say is that
you are grown now. I can do nothing with you.
Okay. We'll keep it simple. All I'm gonna say is in 1994 when I met Jay Gold, I want real quick people giving shout outs. In 1994 when I met Jay Gold, my first real college experience was with the Men of Omega Psi Phi, the first party I ever went to. Shout out to all the bros. Shout out to Omicron Delta. We'll get into that next week when we have our next podcast. But Thane probably know this song. I love this song. Karla, Crystal, Jay Gold, Rasan Turpin. When this song came on in the party,
How they didn't understand.
it set it off. Fall 1994, stand up. Stand up. Yeah. Yeah.
Crystal don't know the song. She too young.
Flavor in your ear.
I remember being at the party, young and naive, trying to grind up on something.
This was a good stroll song.
Yeah, it was. Shout out to all the Greeks. Shout out to all the Greeks. Shout out to all the sororities.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't graduate on time.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Hop. Shout out to Stroll to this song in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's get it back on track. Go ahead, Doc. You got it.
Crystal, I will definitely say one thing I had down pat in college was partying. I don't party now, but in college, I was on the dean list for partying. I would party at
a PWI too. So either way, I would have worked for me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Don't sleep on the PWI party.
That's right. Yeah.
I probably went to no parties at PWI. I'd have been in my room.
PWIs at Penn State, we partied anywhere. Like, we would turn a Chinese restaurant into an after-hours party spot.
So wait, did everybody party together, or did like everybody had their own separate parties? Because I watched Higher Learning when I think it was my sophomore year of college, and I was like, I don't know about this. Like everybody is so separate. So did y'all party together? Like, was everything really separate?
It was a little separate.
Definitely separate.
Like, because the white fraternities had houses, so they were always doing things there. We had our parties either on campus or, like I said, try to find off-campus venues like the Chinese, like it was Huna Walk. So we had one somewhere else off campus near a school, I think. Our parties, we would tend to have like Latino students and Asian students, but not a heavy mix of it, but it was pretty separated.
At Lafayette, we were fortunate that we did have what we called the house. We called ourselves the Association of Black Collegians, was the name of our organization, or the ABC. And we had a house, but we also had the only wooden structure on campus. So we kind of knew that it would someday disappear. And it did, like maybe in the early 90s, but they moved it off campus, like a block off campus, but it didn't have the same atmosphere. But once Friday hit, Saturday, we were partying. That was our outlet. We were together, we were partying. We would get in a car. A handful of us had cars, not me, but a handful of us had cars. We would drive to other campuses. I remember going to a party at Rutgers because we had a really good DJ. One of the guys that I went to school with was a DJ. So he would go do parties at other schools and we would come as the entourage. So I went to parties at Princeton, at Rutgers, and other places. So, definitely don't sleep on Black students at a PWI party.
That's right.
I just want to. I want to say this, and I want to throw it to my sister real quick, Doc. Now, Deana, by you being the youngest of the group, now we all kind of like around the same age, give and take a few years here and there. But what was like? What was it like partying during that era? Because you went like mid 2000s up until like 2000, from 2005 to like 2009, 2010. So what was that experience like? What was it like?
Wild.
Okay.
Yeah, like even going back to the schools partying together, like going to A&T, literally right down the street was UNCG, a PWI.
Okay. What's UNCG? What does it stand for?
I'm sorry, University of North Carolina of Greensboro.
Okay, cool.
So going there, like you go there, they party, but it's like you tell one A&T student about a party at UNCG, then 10 more show up, and then next thing you know, A&T then took over the whole party, but everybody's having fun, but partying was definitely fun and wild and college life.
Now, real quick, I just want to say this, and Jamie can attest to this. Our party nights at our school was really Thursday nights. Thursday nights we would now I was the youngest out of my crew, out of my friends. Shout out to the people that's chiming in. Delvin, Dave, shout out to Teddy, shout out to Big Troy, our brother from another mother. But Thursday nights was our party night. We went to Billy Pat's. We went to different spots. Courtney, anybody that grew up in Jersey, you may know about Gregory's on Tuesday night. Jay Gold. You may know about the peppermint, right? The peppermint. I was a little bit too young to get the peppermint.
That's right.
I was a little bit too young, but I got to a certain spot. But I think, and that's the thing. And I wanted to say that somebody said about the white fraternities had homes, but if you went to a white fraternity party, you was gonna get blasted. You was gonna have a good time because they constantly had the keg flowing. They constantly Jamie's being real modest.
That was a big surprise. I know at Lafayette, like if a few white people that would venture into the black house for a party, they would go, "Where's the keg?" And we're like, "Oh no, we don't do that."
Yeah,
We would have a bar set up, but it would be bottles and stuff like that. It wasn't a keg because we weren't going to throw beer on each other and do all the stuff they did at the fraternity house.
Go ahead, Deana. I saw you had your hand. You wanted to say something?
We didn't have kegs. Like we didn't have, even at UNCG they had, but what they did do would take like those big Tupperware things.
Right.
Yep, and fill it up with Everclear and
we had that too. We called it Cooper
those were the kind of parties we had, and then we did have the little funnels. I don't want to tell too much because our mother is watching the next movie.
I think that's the thing that we could all say, whether or not you went to Morehouse or Lincoln or whatever the case may be, PWI, HBCU, we definitely got the party on. Doc, I just want to give well, go ahead. I'm gonna let you go. You take the keys back, and then I'll play this song later.
All right, two things I want to bring up before I get to my next point, because Reef brought up earlier how school days influenced him to want to go to college. I don't know if you said a black college, but definitely go to college. The movie that deterred me from wanting to go to college was House Party 2. When they gave Kid hell, I can't remember the class that he had, but he had whatever class he had that big paper in.
Right,
and
with the black professor.
With the black professor. I was like, if this is what college is like, I'm not going to college. I definitely remember that. But anyway, Thane, I wanted to ask you, because I always wanted to know this. Boys in the Hood is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I remember, if you remember at the end of the movie, they said Trey went to Morehouse with Brandy across the way at Spelman. Are they like literally across the street from each other?
Yes.
They are.
So your wife might be in the room with you. She might be listening. How much time did you spend at Spelman?
I was a Spanish minor at in college, and I took 3/4 of my Spanish classes over at Spelman.
I was going to say, don't you guys interchange and take classes together?
Yeah.
When you were a student at Morehouse, Clark, Spelman, Morris Brown, the whole Atlanta University Center, you can take classes at any of those classes, any of those schools at the time. So I took a computer science class over at Clark Atlanta. I took, like I said, Spanish classes over at Spelman. But yeah, I mean, it's literally, you got 4 schools within a 2-mile square radius.
So is that because they don't offer those courses at the respective campuses, or that's just a deal they got worked out with each other?
At the time, I think it was reflective of just how certain schools had stronger programs than others.
Okay.
You know, some of the, like for my Spanish minor, I had to take some Spanish classes that were over at Spelman that the professors were supposedly better than, you know, we had in Morehouse for Spanish literature. So it just depended on what you wanted to do. But, you know, did I have fun taking classes over Spelman? Yes.
That's what I was looking for. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yes.
So, all right. So my next point is, regardless of whether you went to a PWI or HBCU, how well do you think your school prepares you for like the next phase of life? More so like, I guess, the workforce, so to speak. Anybody?
I feel like, so I was in a program, it was a STEM program and it was sponsored by NASA. And that's how I ended up going for free. But we were required to attend career days, and I was in National Society of Black Engineers. And we were forced to go to these events, whether we liked it or not. And I feel like those mandatory events made me prepared for the workforce. We did resume writing, we did interviewing skills, we went to conferences, and I feel like those are the types of things that I needed in college to prepare me for out of college for the workforce.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody else?
I think with me,
Go ahead, D.
Yeah, D.
I think with me, I was very much an introvert, still somewhat of an introvert, but I think not even just going into college, period, I think it really allowed me to kind of open up, kind of express myself better, more intellectually. And then just be more of a people person. I didn't really like to talk to people. I didn't want to be bothered, but going to a college and being around people, they don't care what you look like or what you like. They just, they think you're a cool person. They think you're a good spirit. And they, I have those lifelong friendships who have helped me grow and learn myself.
Are you, my sister, you're an introvert?
Huh?
Everybody not like you.
No, go ahead.
Tell him, D, you're a Richardson. It comes with the territory.
Yes.
I say Penn State prepared me well. Like D, I was very much an introvert at Penn State. I did not go to the big career fairs, mostly because I was an education major. So it was a little different how the career fairs were structured. But when I decided to switch my major in the spring of my junior year, my academic advisor, she was very on board, and she helped me figure out the plan that what major was going to work so I can still graduate within 4.5 years. We talked about my career options, and she guided me every step of the way. With that had to come some more financial aid money that I didn't think I was originally going to be approved for. She helped me get it. She helped me set up with my final internship that I didn't end up working for that company right after graduation, but that company called me 2 years after I graduated for a job, and that's how I actually moved to Philly. But so I feel like with her support, they helped set me up really well.
Anyone else?
I think that William Patterson helped me a lot. I was a communication major. I wasn't an introvert, but at the same time, and learning how to speak and being articulate helped me a lot because I had speech classes. You were forced to speak the right way. If not, then your grade would suffer from it. So I learned how to do that. And while I was there, I was substituting at Eastside High School. Lean on Me, same school, Joe Clark.
Shout out.
He was gone at the time, but my profession now in teaching, it helped prepare me to speak the right way in front of children, adults, and also admin without getting nervous. And you know what you're speaking about, of course, it just flows out. So as far as speech class is concerned, that helped me a lot as far as public speaking is concerned. That's how it prepared me.
All right, anyone else?
I do feel like that these conversations need to be had before going to college.
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of people, just set themselves up with all this debt, and they pick these career. my motto is pick a major that will be a good return on your investment.
Yes.
And I think that's a conversation that people don't have with their children before they enter in college. And sometimes college isn't for everybody.
Absolutely.
But just going to a 4-year college and just wasting a whole bunch of money on an education that you don't.
Karla.
Oh, she froze.
Her cricket wireless went off for a second.
Yeah. Well, to piggyback off, I agree. And Terp, I know you and I talk all behind the scenes. And I know, Jamie, you have a 17-year-old as well. Thane, I'm not sure if you have children or their ages, but Karla, did you want to finish your point?
You went out for a little bit.
I know. Yeah, I just think those conversations need to be had ahead of time.
Yeah, and you know what, Karla, I'll piggyback off of that. And I know, like I said, I talked to Terp, and Jamie and I talk, and like I said, Thane, I'm not sure, Thane and Crystal, if you guys have children and what age they are. But, you know, one of the things that I tell my child now is, like I said, you know, as you said, Karla, you want to get a good return on your investment, but you also you don't want to be 5 years down the line, and then you're not even working in the major that you chose. It's like a waste of time. And I don't necessarily say that to her like that, but I say it to her enough so she can understand my emphasis, because, you know, you don't want to go for basket weaving, like you can't get no job in basket weaving, you know? So, I mean, you want to pick something, like you said, is going to get a return on your investment, but also something that you're going to be passionate about. And I think if I knew now, of course, what I know, if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have majored in business. It took me a while. Like I was, you know, Jamie will tell you, like I wasn't, you know, we was just doing what we was doing, just trying to figure it out. And then we didn't figure it out till you know, maybe junior year or whatever. But real quick, I just want to do something. I got to do this, Doc. And you got this. Let me add the keys back. I got to give a shout out because Thane said something and it kind of struck a nerve. I got to give a shout out to 1999. In 1999, I went to this place called Atlanta GA. All right. And in Atlanta GA, me, Jamie, Seth, Wes, and my cousin Carl, also known as Bull Truck, you know what I'm saying? Gerard, we was at this thing called Freaknik. And then Freaknik, if you know about Freaknik Thane, you know about Freaknik Thane. You know about Freaknik Thane. I know you're a married man now, but back in the day, Freaknik was one of them. And if you ever went to a Freaknik in 99.
Wait, hold on. And tell them about the time you almost got arrested. Tell them about the part you got arrested.
I'm going to say that story for our later segment. I got a story to tell. I'll let you tell the story where I almost got arrested. My mother's in the other room watching. You better get me in trouble, brother. But shout out to all those people that went to Freaknik in the 90s. I got to play this song.
Okay.
If you went to Freaknik in 99, you know about this. Let's blast this thing. Yeah, pardon, this is not the best podcast. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I ain't gonna play all of it. We got little kids in the room. I just had to play that thing. I had to give you a shout out, brother, because you was there when Freaknik was in his heyday. I'm not gonna ask you to incriminate yourself, thing, but you know what I mean? I already know in the 90s, in the early 90s, you know, go ahead, Doc, you got a car back.
Wait, you said that was 99?
Yeah, that was 99, right? Yeah, that's right.
Thing you was going by then, right?
Yeah, Freaknik in the early 90s was the real Freaknik. I'm gonna just keep it real.
Well, I'm gonna say this
late
thing.
90s, that was kind of watered down Freaknik, quite honestly.
And you know what? That is true. I've heard of that. But all I can say, and Jamie can testify to this, when we went to Freaknik, I don't know if you guys have been to Freaknik, but that was one of the things where we was like, we have to go. A few of our friends went years before, and we had to go, and it was probably one of my most memorable times during my college experience. All right, Doc, you got it. I'm done with my foolishness.
All right, we almost at our destination, but I got a couple more questions for you guys. So knowing what you know now, your however old self, I think all of us have been out of college for 20 years with the exception of Crystal. No shade, Crystal. Knowing what you know now, would you go back to your respective school again if you were enrolling in college today?
Yes, definitely.
Why?
You meant that. Definitely.
Why not? It's A&T.
No, I'm not saying, I'm not questioning. I'm saying say why.
Say why. Why? Because going to A&T, it was just, and I guess you could say this with any HBCU that you're proud of going to, it's just a family-oriented place. I see people all the time, and where I live at now, they can have on an Aggie shirt, I can have on an Aggie sweatpants. Aggie pride. It's like anywhere you go, it's just mad love. And I love my HBCU. Aggie born, Aggie bred. All day.
Respect. Anybody else?
I would
It would
say
be 20
probably
years.
not. Probably not. But this is after the fact. This is what, like my cousin said, if I knew then what I know now, probably not. I would have expanded my horizons. I can't say necessarily I would have gone to an HBCU, but I would have gone to a bigger school than I did, because my school was pretty small. It was only maybe like 2,000 students. And like I said, we were pretty much 90% from New Jersey. So there wasn't a whole lot of change. But I probably would have expanded in terms of, or maybe even going a little further than I did in just going over the border to Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I think for me, I would go to Penn State. So I bleed blue and white. That is my heart. I would just change it because it is such a bigger school that I would have been more assertive my freshman and sophomore years. My coursework with engaging and things like that, but I definitely would have done. But what I may have done different, and I did my master's at a PWI too. I might have done an HBCU for that. So.
Good to know. Anybody else? Well, let me speak for myself because I'm okay. Go ahead, Dave. No, go ahead.
I would say I would definitely do it all over again. I would go back and here's the reason why. It's not just about the person I became, but rather about the lifelong, like, friends, close circle of friends that I developed that, to this day, they're still my brothers. I don't think that I would have formed, for me at the time that I went, I would not have formed those types of close-knit relationships at another school. The camaraderie, the drama that frankly, one of the things that a lot of Black college graduates don't tell incoming Black college students is you're going to go through some drama going to an HBCU. Yep. Whether it has to do with registration, financial aid, sending transcripts to grad school later on, there's some stuff that sort of steals you and toughens you up because you got to go through some stuff. And without the drama, without the camaraderie, without the lifelong friendships, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So I done okay. The good Lord has blessed me. And it's because, frankly, I went to Morehouse in 1991. I would not have been the person that I am today had I gone to a different school. So yeah, I do it all over again.
Hey, Thane, can I ask you a question real quick? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How long could you make $20 stretch when you was in college?
Bruh, come on, man. Come on. That was like 3 months. That was
Listen, we used to put our money together and go get some chicken wings. The wings would last for at least 4 or 5 days. You know
yes,
what I'm saying?
Sir.
So
yes, sir.
I can definitely appreciate that. And I think that's with all schools, but definitely, speaking for Jay Gold and myself, that's what brought our friendship, made our bond a brotherhood bond because of the things that we went through. Them nights, we was grumbling. If I had 5, he had 2, we made 7. We went to the store, you know what I'm saying? Or we got a ride. I'm not gonna tell the story about the time where his car broke down. You know what I'm saying? But, we'll go from there. Go ahead though, Doc.
Did anybody else want to respond to that before I say my little piece on that?
I'll respond.
Okay.
I've met some great people in Lincoln. I have some great relationships now. I mean, I met my husband at Lincoln, but if I had to do it over again, I would not go to Lincoln. I feel like I should have just gone with my first choice, Xavier. Sometimes I just didn't feel like I fit in. And I just, if I had to do it over again, I wouldn't go there, and I wouldn't send my kids there.
Why do you say you didn't fit?
I don't know. Sometimes it just didn't feel right. Like it just wasn't what I was exposed to when I was in high school.
Okay.
I just, saw things that I didn't see on other HBCU campuses that I would prefer not to see.
Actually, surprised but not surprised that you said that. I'm surprised because I know you're very pro HBCU. I'm kind of like the opposite of that, but I'm not surprised because I actually I expected myself to say the same thing. And the issues that I had with my choice in the HBCU was more so with the school, not the experience at the school, if that makes sense. If I had to do it over again, I'm actually kind of torn because a part of me still feels like if at this age, if I knowing what I know, I should have still went to a PWI. But then when I think about the experience, if I had to do it all over again, I would go back to Lincoln and with a more mature mindset because because of all the things that we talked about earlier, but in looking at it with an older mind, it's kind of like, had I grasped everything in the way that I should have, I think my experience would have been different in different ways. And you know, Lincoln is not all bad. In contrast to what they said, like some people do get left behind, myself, so to speak. But a lot of people do excel in that environment. And the good thing is that, you know, Karla, you and I went to the same school and our experiences are different, but they're also the same because I had the same opportunity to get in some programs that you were in. But because we had this conversation, I was anti shutting my life down socially in certain respects. And you was like, I'll make the sacrifice and give up a summer to go into this program. Our outcomes, you know, they were definitely different. I don't think Lincoln is all bad. I think they've gotten a lot better since we left, since the time that we were there. When my daughter said she wanted to go to Lincoln, I was just like, nah, you can't go there. You go any HBCU you want. You ain't going to Lincoln. But and that's not fair to her. That's not fair to the school because that was just based on my experience at the time. Not to say that they were perfect, because they did do some things for me that I think were wrong. But I would go again. Like it's not all bad. I would go to Cheney though. Definitely would go to Cheney.
Spoken like a Lincoln man.
Real quick, we got a good comment. This is a good comment from Kevin Waters, brother Kevin Waters. He says, "What up to the Dr. Dunce podcast? Didn't go to an HBCU, but I live vicariously through this engaging, energetic conversation, and I think that's the key. And I think Karla kind of alluded to it. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to, of course, highlight, you know, the differences and things of that nature, but also to give some light to our experiences as far as college and things of that nature. And I think that, you know, one thing that we all have in common is that we all benefited, whether, you know, our positives and our negatives, we all benefited from our particular experience. Doc, you want to do this before I do my next thing?
Wait. Yeah, I got one more thing I wanted to bring up before we start making our way out of here. Because somebody mentioned earlier about, you know, having kids or whatever. Whether you have kids, want to have kids, don't have kids, if you do have kids or do plan to have kids, how much of what you know now, what you experience would impact? Let's just assume everybody who has a kid or wants to have a kid is going to college, whatever. 10 years from now, all our kids going to college. Are you trying to persuade them to make the choice that you made, or are you leaving it up to them to say, go wherever you want to go?
Well, at the present time, I'm in that situation. My son, he didn't want to go to HBCU. He said he wanted to basically have diversity more so. However, as time is going on recently, he's been leaning towards HBCUs a little bit. He's not ruling them out like he used to at all. And I'm letting him make his own decision. You know, he knows where I went to school at, but I told him several times that it can be a very good decision and to look at all the pros and cons of it. Don't just look at what you see, do your research on it. We can go visit different colleges. You can see for yourself if you would like to go here or not. And, you know, if you want to go here, why? If not, why as well. So we're trying to let him, up to him, make his own decision. But at the same time, we want to put it out there for him, let him see what he would like to do.
Anyone else?
So I have
Crystal.
I have two sons, two teenage sons, and you know, frankly, their journey in life is their journey. It's not my journey, and so if they are interested in going to a Black college, that's cool with me. If they're not, that's cool with me. I think my goal, mine and my wife's goal, will just be to expose them to the experiences. You know, take them down to Howard's homecoming. Hopefully they'll have it next year. Take them down to Morehouse homecoming. Hopefully they have it next year. We got family who went to Hampton, you know, to see what a Black college homecoming is all about. And, you know, my wife is not a HBCU grad. My wife is a Penn State grad. We want them to see Penn State homecoming. So I think the bottom line is, again, their journey is their journey. And if they want to follow my footsteps and go to Morehouse, that's cool, but I'm never going to put pressure on them to do so.
So Thane, can I ask you a question? You just gonna bypass Lincoln homecoming?
It's fun.
Trying to take them as far as I can.
G-Ho, talk about that G-Ho, A&T. What about that G-Ho?
The greatest homecoming on earth. I mean, what can you say? Like,
That's what they say at that A&T. That A&T.
Homecoming.
They
There's
wanna put-
no whole homecoming. Huh? What'd you say?
If you cut her off, what you was gonna say?
You back off of that? All right, my signal. I got this cricket, yo. This thing is terrible. I apologize.
But yeah, G-Ho, if you ever get a chance to experience just once, you'll talk. I actually lost my voice one time when I went to G. I lost my whole entire voice. Like, that's how live it is.
I saw y'all homecoming by way of Instagram I think it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all get it in. I don't know if y'all top on Lincoln homecoming, but y'all definitely get it in. Crystal?
Yes.
You just gonna say yes, Crystal?
You said Crystal, I said yes. What
would you say? What would you do with your kids? I know you don't have kids right now, but you don't have them right now.
No, I will support them. It's their decision, just like it was my decision. But I think, like what Karla hit on earlier, is just making sure they're prepared for the decision they make and the career path they choose. So,
gotcha.
And that's I want to whole entire life. Hi, Aunt. Hi, Lainey.
Who is that?
That's our Lainey.
Oh,
your mama.
Okay, let's get this back. Go ahead.
I want to piggyback on what James said. You said something about diversity. You said something about your son wants to see diversity. Don't let people fool you. HBCUs also have diversity. There's a lot of diversity within the African American community. So just keep that in mind when you say that. But what I would tell my daughters are 9 and 12. They watch Different World all the time. They watch Cosby Show. We just put that in their ear, but they're going to go where the money is. I mean, to be honest, I hate to say that I love HBCUs, but I'm not going into debt for them going into college because my parents didn't go into debt. I'm not going into debt. Right. So they will go where their money is. And unfortunately, HBCUs don't have the same money as the PWIs.
Right.
Yeah.
Karla, a quick question.
Let me respond to her.
I'm sorry.
Karla, no, that's true. My nephew, he is a senior in college now, and he's in the band now, and he was looking at Southern schools, HBCUs. But when we had to talk with him, my sister, I talked to him, and it's like, we know you have a dream school, and you know you may want to go this, or this may be the school you want, but you need to think down the road. Like at the end of the day, yes, it's the school, like it's the school and it's the value, but you got to go where that money is for real, like. And you make the most of that education that you got at that school, like go where the money is.
Amen.
Speaking of money, Karla, quick question, because you said they watch A Different World and the Cosby Show. They don't watch Good Times? Like, you got to give them the other side, too.
They watch that. They watch that before.
So about hard work and, things like that. People, we always want to give our kids the Cosby Show and stuff like that, but what about Good Times?
That's what I watch. So they watch what I watch.
All right, Reef,
they watch Blackish, too.
All right. Well,
I'm gonna let you be the designated driver from here on in, so you got it.
Well, listen, we have a segment on our show. Now, listen, I'm gonna say this: don't say nothing that's gonna incriminate you. Don't get yourself in no trouble, even though if it was 20 years ago. But we have a segment on our show where we dedicated to the late great Notorious Big. To the DJ. I got a story to tell. This is our segment where you tell a story. Now, because we're doing our whole HBCU, PWI higher education thing, you got to tell us a story about your college experience now. One thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna start. Me and Jay Gold, as we like to call him, he's being very humble right now, but we got a lot of history together. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna talk about the time when we was in a. Jay, I'm gonna let you tell the story. You might guess. I'm gonna let you tell the story.
Which one are you talking about?
Choose one.
Oh man.
You want to turn the Freaknik one? Which one you want to tell? Tell
Okay,
me.
Arrested in Freaknik.
The Freaknik one.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
We in the car. We in the van. It's 1,000 people all around. I think I'm driving, and I'm having fun, but Reef is having the time of his life. I'm like, I'm having a good time, but you losing your mind. Like you might want to calm down just a little bit. Just calm down a little bit. So he's just no. I'm gonna keep on doing. I said okay, fine, no problem. So I'm driving, and everyone jumps out of the car. We're taking pictures and here and there, things of that nature. So he jumped out when he wasn't supposed to jump out one time. No one jumped out of the car except him. So he's kind of running around. So the cop sees him. One cop picks him out and says, "Hey, son, listen, get back in the car and don't get back out again. If I see you get out again, you're getting arrested." So I'm looking at him. He gets back in the car like a hermit, quiet, not talking. So the next stop, I said, "Reef, get out the car. No, man, I'm going to jail. I can't. I don't have time to go to jail, man. You gonna bail me out?" I'm like, "No, you know what? Just stay in the car. This thing, we'll get out. You stay in." So that was a situation in terms of him almost being picked up and going to jail. But besides that, as far as another story is concerned, I don't have any on my mind. I can't think of it at the present time. I know you got 1,000. I know you can bet it.
So I'm not going to tell a story. All I'll say is in you know, we and Thane alluded to it earlier as far as bringing a bond together. But like I said, it was many a nights. We had a roommate, right? I'm not gonna say his name, but if William Patterson, similar to you, cousin, is similar to you, Karla and Rasan, and Crystal and Deana. William Patterson is up on a hill, but it's in Wayne, New Jersey. The major city next to it is in Patterson, New Jersey. If you know anything about Patterson, New Jersey, Patterson's the hood. So we had a roommate. He had a car, Caucasian guy, white guy. So he was like, "Yo, man, listen, we got some money. We're gonna send you to the store." We sent him to the store in the hood. Anybody know Woha Chinese food? You know what I'm saying? Wings. You know what I'm saying? You get like 6 wings, for like $3. So we hungry. So we sent him to the store. He comes back with just 4 wings. We like, "Yo, what happened to the food?" He said, "Man, I got robbed, dude." We like, "You got robbed? Like, how you get robbed?" He's like, "Man, they took my money. They took my food. Here go your effing food, dude." And walked out the room. And we didn't think we were setting them up, but we sent them to the store to get the food. So, I say that story and tell that story in jest, but those were the times, like I said, it brought you together and made you almost thick as thieves. Karla, Courtney, Thane, Crystal, anybody got a story that they want to tell?
I'm with you on that thing. Any college stories, that's for a private conversation.
All right.
Another time.
Well, listen. Listen, we appreciate y'all coming on. This is the Dr. Dunce podcast. Once again, I'm Big Reef. That's my right hand man, Big Rah. Rod, tell us where they can find us on our podcast. Find our podcast, please.
You can find our podcast on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Oh, I guess you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube.
And don't forget Alexa as well. Did you
Alexa is Amazon. Oh yeah, I don't think I said that. My bad.
Yeah. We forget sometimes. We just trying to pay the bill. Shout out to all the people
Alexa,
that chimed
quiet.
in tonight.
See, y'all, you made me say Alexa. Now my thing's starting to talk. No.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know my voice was that loud. Listen, shout out to all the people that chimed into the comments. Shout out to our super producer Evie for putting this all together. We got to thank the people behind the scenes. Thank you, cousin. Thank you, Jay Gold. Thank you, Thane Morehouse, man. Thank you, Crystal. Shout out to all the SG Rose. Thank you, Karla, and thank you, little sis, for chiming in. We appreciate y'all. This is the Dr. Dunce podcast. And listen, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna play this song. I gotta play this song because all of you are my friends. You're saying if you went to school in Jersey, stand up. Willie P, stand up. If we were still in school, this would be a Billy Pass.
Oh, we listen to club music at Lincoln too.
Oh, y'all did?
Don't
Okay.
even front on us.
University,
Come on
stand
now.
up. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take us home. Peace and love, y'all. Dr. Dunce podcast. Big Reef, my man Rod, right hand man. up if you're still watching. Yeah.
Like, it's the school.
Oh, shoot the DJ. Shoot the DJ. I know DJ. Yeah.
We got to shoot you.